Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Reynolds, the Chancellor with the Archdiocese of Louisville. Welcome to our podcast series, What's New in ArchLou. This show highlights the people and ministries of the Archdiocese of Louisville, the Catholic Church in Central Kentucky. Join us each month as we welcome guests to discuss what's new in the church and invite you to get involved and deepen your own faith and your engagement with the parishes you're part of. This program is brought to you by the ArchLou Podcast Network. I'm really excited about today's show. We have two special guests who've also I've worked with in different capacities over the years and have a nice friendship with. The first one you're going to hear from in a minute is Martha Price Richardson, who's a community volunteer. And the other one is Aaron Miller, who's also a volunteer, but he's the vice president of the Leadership Louisville Center. Martha and her husband, Michael, have two children and are members of St. Bernadette Parish. Aaron is also a member of St. Bernadette, and he and his wife, Susan, have two children. So I welcome both of you here today to be part of our show. Before we get into the topic, which I'll describe, just by biographical, because I only gave a little bit. How about a little bit of each of your bios if we were going to introduce you? Aaron, why don't you get us started?
Well, thanks for having me on, Brian. It's great to see you. I have mostly lived in Louisville my whole life, moved here just in time to start first grade, and started first grade in the Catholic school system here in Louisville and spent the next 16 years at Ascension, St. X, and then the University of Dayton. So I've been Catholic schooled all the way through.
Okay.
My post-college career was in radio. So I did various broadcasting roles in various radio stations, from traffic reporting on public radio to zany morning show stuff until about 2011, which is when I started at the Leadership Louisville Center. And I feel like, is that where we met?
First time we met, yes.
You were a board member. You were on our board of directors for the Leadership Louisville Center, and you've continued serving on various committees with us over the years, which is amazing. And at the Leadership Louisville Center, I started as a program manager with our programs like Focus Louisville and Ignite Louisville. And over the years, I've grown to where now I help lead all of our community leadership programs and our signature events, and we have a training and workshop division called Leading Better. And I should say Leadership Louisville Center is a nonprofit that's been in Louisville for 45 years. We're the largest community leadership program in the U.S., and our purpose is to inspire and equip leaders to be better and do better.
It's a wonderful resource. I'm proud to be part of it. And as you know, we have lots of folks in the Archdiocese participate in programs that you folks sponsor because they're that good and that special. So we're grateful to have you here, but we're grateful for the work you do every day. Okay, Martha, your turn. How about you? Tell us a little bit about your background.
I am from Dayton, Ohio.
Very nice.
And I came from a very business-minded family that was also very musical. I had a career in technology, traveled 100,000 miles a year. I worked for a company called Verifone, and that's how I met my husband in 1990. He worked for Citizens Fidelity Bank. And as I said, I traveled quite a bit. We had two sons that went to Trinity, had great educations there. So that's it.
Very good. Well, thank you. Both of you have been involved in different times in your parish, in the Archdiocese, and in the broader community. And that's why we invited you, because our topic today is to talk about service. What motivates people to serve beyond their own personal needs, whether it's in your parish or your neighborhood, whether it's a career-minded work that you do or something else for the community in which you live. What motivates people to serve? And then I always wonder what people reflect on is the impact of having made that decision to serve. In the Archdiocese today, we know we have tens of thousands of volunteers, from choir members to catechists, from coaches to those who work the church picnic. So thousands of them. And there's something about people who get involved and volunteer. So that's our topic today. So, Martha, I thought we'd start with you to begin describing your own volunteer experiences in the Archdiocese first. You've been involved in liturgy ministry. You were part of what is known as the National Pastoral Musicians. You were you're now part of Louisville Development Board, the Archdiocesan Development Council, or board that we have. And one of your special treats to us is you helped us plan the first ever Priest Variety Show. We should do a podcast just about the Priest Variety Show sometime. So, how did you get involved? What motivated you to first get involved in service?
I guess the background in music that I talked about, I actually studied vocal performance. And although I went the business route, in the year 2000, I took the cantor training from Judy Bullock, who was the then director of the Office of Worship. And I immediately started cantoring in my home parish, which was Transfiguration of Our Lord. And then I was so blessed to be able to cantor for some other archdiocesan beautiful liturgies, working with wonderful musicians that our archdiocese is filled with. And then that brought me to the NPM, as you said, the National Association of Pastoral Musicians. There are about 85 in our Louisville chapter, and I was on the board and then became the director in 2017 and just made some beautiful friendships along with beautiful liturgies with wonderful musicians. The development board I joined in 2021, and I've really enjoyed getting to know a lot of the business leaders and hearing their thoughts on how to promote the Archdiocese. And that's where I was able to work with Molly Keene-Smith and Melissa Herberger and Gary Herman on the Priest Variety Show. And that was wonderful. It benefited Catholic Services Appeal, and it was a great, great time.
That's terrific. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And that's an event that will probably come back in 2025. So we're looking forward to continuing that activity. Okay, Aaron, how about your involvement? You've been involved in your parish. You recently joined the Archdiocese Catholic Foundation Board, a new opportunity for us as one of its first board members. But you've also, your work, obviously you described a little bit about it, the whole work of the Leadership Louisville Foundation. I'm sure that, I messed up the name of the member I'm a board member of. So.
Well, technically, legally, we are Leadership Louisville Foundation. So on the paperwork, you're helping us with. It probably says that, but
that's why. Thanks for the cover.
But we do go by Leadership Louisville Center.
Fine.
Yes.
Okay. So the center, of course, is a training resource center, but it does that to serve the community. So talk about why you got involved in serving others.
I think it started back in the days when I was in radio, and you get asked a lot to do various emceeing, public speaking. Can you come and host this? Can you be at our charity ball, at our 5K? So really, not too far out of college, started doing a lot of that type of service. Shortly after I got married, my wife and I had a really good experience on our engagement encounter, which I don't even know if they do that anymore.
Sure they do.
But it was a retreat, 2 or 3 day retreat. And we were invited back to be hosts. So I think that was probably my first real volunteering with the Archdiocese in some way. And 20 years ago, we did it, half dozen times. And it was actually a connection through work. So Leadership Louisville Center, as you said, the Archdiocese has supported our programs and has often put clergy through. And so when Father Nicholas was in Leadership Louisville, 15 years ago, not that much, 10 years ago, later when he came to St. Bernadette and we knew each other, I was a member of the school board, so that was kind of my next big time served in service to the community there at St. Bernadette, and it was something I wanted to do to be more involved in my kids' education and to give back, and kind of that leading meetings and leadership was part of my skill set at that point. And Father Nicholas knew that he knew me from the program and said, would you consider being the school board chairperson for a term? And so how do you say no? Yeah. Father Jeff asks, you typically say yes. So and that was a really meaningful experience. It really helped me understand a lot more of what goes on, not just experiencing as a parishioner, but understanding the business side and the families and how that school, while people may think of as just kind of a place to send the kids for an education, but it's a ministry. It's a ministry of that parish, and so I really kind of more deeply understood a lot of the elements of that community. And then when I got to know Tink Guthrie from the Archdiocese, when he participated in our Leadership Louisville program, and he reached out when you were expanding the Catholic Foundation, which would take a long time to explain here, but I'll just say that when I was given an opportunity to be of service there too, I felt like I could bring some perspective to that mission as well. So it's especially when I see an opportunity to give back in a way where I think I can add value, when I can help from a public speaking perspective or from bringing in outside voices. I think that's what I've really found is my opportunity to serve.
You know, both of you have done a number of things, and I know stuff that neither one of you mentioned that both of you have done. You emceed the Catholic Charities Relay 1 year.
2 years, I think.
2 years. 2 years. And I know, Martha, you were part of even helping us plan and think about what to do when we changed archbishops and planning for big liturgy events because of your presence. You both named a number of things you've done, which is terrific. But I'm going to go one step deeper. Why did you said you can't say no to Father Jeff. That's a good answer, but I'd like to go one step deeper. Why did you say yes? I believe I'm giving you my bias. I believe there's a motivation behind that. And can we explore that a little bit together? You both hinted at it a little bit, but how about a little bit more? Either one of you want to comment, or both of you actually?
I can jump in. So I think, and as you said, what we do at Leadership Louisville Center and encouraging people to serve in ways that make them part of the community. And I think service is a great way to meet people. It's a great way to connect. So you're gaining value out of it too. You are giving. Hopefully you're giving something of value to wherever you are showing up to serve. If you're a good cook and you want to serve in the cafeteria or a soup kitchen, or if you are an organized person and you want to help with whatever project management is going on for a fundraiser or a committee, you have an opportunity to share your gifts, which I think feels good too, but you get to do it with other people and it's community building. And I think it's kind of that thing that makes you part of something bigger. That's good. That's what it is for me.
Martha, how about you?
I would say, first of all, talking about our home parish, and if you serve in music liturgy or lecturing or whatever, it's a home. And you might leave for a while and travel, and you come back to your parish, and it really feels like home. And people say, "Where have you been?" And I can't even describe what a comfort it is. So first of all, on a very basic level, being in church and volunteering just feels like home and being a part of somebody. As far as, I echo what Aaron said, relationships, the NPM, why did I do that? It was just tremendous relationships. I learned so much. I was able to bring my business background to create events to help music liturgists be better at what they do. So it was giving. It was good to give.
Good. Speaking of giving, I know one of the things you're volunteering now with is our Catholic Charities has many different programs, but the Sister Visitor Center is one of our longest serving places in our community. Can you tell us about the center and what you do for them?
Sure. So in December of 2022, Mike, my husband, had an idea of supporting and donating so that fresh produce could actually be delivered to the clients. And I went and implemented at Sister Visitor Center with Sister Paris Lapicas a program called Rootin'. And if we are rooting for each other, who's rooting against us? But we put together a program that ran from April till October of 2023. Fresh produce was delivered every Wednesday from farmers and from Catholic Charities refugee farmers. So again, we donated the money, and then all this wonderful food was developed every Wednesday for the clients of Sister Visitor Center Pantry.
And what's happened to you because of doing that?
Well, I was changed that very first day that I walked in there. I hadn't spent a lot of time on the west side. And when I went in there and met Sister Paris and Laura and the other people that work on the emergency funding and saw some of the clients, I just said to myself, these people are the real deal. These people that work for the Archdiocese and help these underserved and vulnerable people. This is the real deal. This is what Jesus wants us to do. So my heart was taken.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that personal witness, really. Aaron, I could speak about the Leadership Louisville Center from my own experiences, from Bingham Fellows to board members, and it is the easiest thing that we do is continue to support it, because I know the impact that your programs have had on this community. And as you've named several people already there, lots of our staff go through there, including Sister Paris, who
she's in the program right now.
So
she's the best.
So we're proud to be partners with you, and we benefit from it. But tell us a little advertising about it first, and then as you have, because you came up through the program, not by attending, but because you were all the different layers, and now you're a key leader there of things. Tell us about a little bit about the center, but then I want to go to the same thing I did with Martha. What impact on you?
Yeah. So the Leadership Louisville Center, like I said, 45 years in Louisville. One of there's a community leadership program like this in cities all over the U.S. and actually all over the world. I've met a guy who works for Leadership Berlin, Germany, and the mission is really about, we know that cities are better when everyone shows up to be part of solutions, and it's easy to be in a silo of where you live and where you work and maybe your church community and your school community, but how do you really become part of the bigger community? How do you, if you don't have kids in the public schools, but you need to know that the public schools are still vital, the success of everybody in those schools is vital. If you don't understand really how our state government system works and Louisville's relationship with Frankfurt, like that's kind of the core, and that's where we started, is how do we get people in leadership positions to know each other, to build networks, and to show up when it's time to be part of the solution. And so we've expanded with everything from programs for emerging leaders, for retiring leaders. We have a program called Encore Louisville that's basically, we just take baby boomers who are maybe transitioning out of their career, and we form little squads that do free consulting for nonprofits. Nonprofits come to us and say, we could use some help. And I've got 4 or 5 really significant leaders to help for no cost at all. So that's kind of an overview of what we do. And we just believe in the power of bringing people together and showing them parts of their city that they wouldn't otherwise see, and meet people like Sister Paris, who's in the Leadership Louisville class right now, along with lawyers and bankers and healthcare leaders and other nonprofit leaders. And when you start building those networks, it's just really powerful. And I had not, as you said, I had not actually been through one of our programs when I took the role. And so for me, just getting to kind of shadow the programs, and over the years, my love for this work that we do is huge. I think I see change happen in people, and I see change happen in the community, because of not necessarily the stuff we're doing, but we're facilitating these connections, and we're facilitating these conversations that people have, that leads them to service. Because, again, it is, if you think volunteering, if you don't do much volunteering, you might think of it as a chore. If you ask my 10-year-old son when he was 10 to go, work the fish fry, he's like, I don't know. But actually, he's working the fish fry this week, because it's fun. Like, he knows he's going to see his friends there. He's going to give back, right? And it's this community building. Like I said, you're making your community, your city, the world a better place, and it is self-fulfilling to do it with other people. I mean, if you're introverted, extroverted, I'm extroverted. So for me, like, just getting to hang out with people, I'll take that opportunity anytime. But even if you're a person who maybe it's a little more of a struggle to make these connections.
Yeah, I know that one of the slogans of Leadership Louisville, everybody seems to use the same one: we're the best class ever.
Yeah, every class
declares they're the best class ever. That's a wonderful, fun way to do it. But both of you had this part of the same answer. Both of volunteering gives you experience of community building, and then you end up in relationships that improve your life and personhood. And that's a wonderful way that others are being served, but you also then become part of a bigger picture. I appreciate hearing that. Let's turn that into boy, this is going to sound like an interview question. What would you say to someone who's not involved and said, I'm thinking I should do more with my time and my days? What would you tell them about why they should get involved? Martha, go, sure.
So as we age, and I will go ahead and own that, and if we retire, it's very important to stay engaged and learning and meeting and talking to people. And what a great way to do it by volunteering. You can look in your bulletin, you can look in the record, you can look online at archlou.org. You can either just write a check, or if you want to really get involved, grab a friend or 5 and figure out, what organization and what you want to do. And it's a way to grow and continue and to give.
Great. Aaron?
I think people struggle sometimes with how to get started, and we find that we can get people inspired to give back sometimes in these programs, but then they're like, okay, what do I do now? And it's really all about figuring what you are passionate about. The beauty of a church community and of our Catholic parishes is there's like 175 different ministries.
Yes.
And most of them are dying to have you sign up and show up. Right. So it's as easy as talking to someone at your parish and just say, hey, I think I'd like to show up. Where am I needed? Or I'm interested in animals. I'm interested in kids. I'm interested in the environment. What is a place where I can connect with my people? And everyone's ready to find a spot for you. And I encourage you, I absolutely think getting involved at your parish level is a no-brainer and so easy. But if you also wanted to be part of the bigger community, and you might be interested in joining a board of directors at a nonprofit someday, it's easier than you think to get online, learn about the nonprofits in our area. A lot of parishes will take various field and mission trips to different nonprofits as well. And just introduce yourself and say, hey, I'd love to help out. Where can I plug in? And they I guarantee, have something for you to do. Whether again, you want to help marginalized populations, if you want to help, again, the environment. There's park systems that needs help. There's schools and preschools and the thousands of places that you can help. And it's much easier than you think to just raise your hand, basically, and say, "Here I am. Where can where do you need me? Put me in, coach." And
I liked your saying it before when you suggested part of it begins with identifying a passion for yourself. Can I ask you? Both of you have gotten involved on kind of the board level with the Archdiocese, which is a little bit different role with the kinds of things you've done with not just serving a project, but you've seen the Development Council and Martha's, the foundation, Aaron. Can you suggest what you discovered that you may not have known about the Archdiocese once you got inside the kind of the operational side of the church? Anything you discovered in there?
The thing that I have loved about being part of the Catholic Foundation, which is not the Catholic Education Foundation. When I say Catholic Foundation, people mix this up. This is different, and it's something that's been around for a long time. But and I'll try to elevator speech it, Brian, but tell me if I get it wrong. It's basically kind of a group that helps parishes manage some of their finances, some of their investments, as well as manage gifts that can help parishes with older parishes with like historic building repair. It can help with seminarian expenses if they go over budget. There's an assortment of different things that come out of the Catholic Foundation. For me, I think it helped really see the scope of the Archdiocese as a whole, not just at the individual parish level, but and I've been part of I grew up in Ascension over in Hikes Point. I got married, and my wife went through RCIA at the cathedral downtown, and my kids went to St. Mary Academy, and I've been part of St. Bernadette. But to go 50,000 feet up then and look, and you're like, okay, so these are each an individual community, but there's this bigger entity that supports that. And while every priest is gifted and blessed with their gifts of ministry and taking care of people, sometimes I might need help with their long-term investment planning, right? So things like the work that goes on at the Catholic Foundation, I think, are just another layer of understanding just how many gifts the Archdiocese gives to the community and how it supports and kind of creates those structures to allow the parishes to do their best work.
That's great. Yeah, good elevator speech. You got it.
Did I do okay?
You did great. I might steal that. Great. Martha, how about you?
I think being on the board just gave me such an appreciation of connectedness with all of these different business people, and everybody's focus is trying to help others. And with Catholic Charities, it's not necessarily just helping Catholics, it's helping everyone. And also what's amazing is when I started to meet with Jane Evans and Amir from Common Earth Gardens and just seeing all the different employees that are in the Archdiocese, it's amazing. So again, it's like when I see all these people helping, it's like, I've been so blessed. How can I help? How can I share?
You know, I gave Aaron a slogan for the Leadership Louisville Center with "We're all the best class," and then you know, the Catholic Charities slogan is we don't serve because they're Catholic, we serve because we're Catholic.
Oh, that's
we
beautiful.
we don't stop people at the door and saying, if you want services, can you tell us your religion? We come in because they have needs and we want to respond and be part of the human connection.
You know, real quick, I'm working on a video with Sister Paris and her manager to help bring awareness to the Sister Visitor Center and to all the neighborhood there, and to get more donors and more volunteers.
Yeah. That's great.
So it's
That's
just
good.
another.
Very good. There's scripture and there's songs that use the same line: in giving, we receive. So I'm going to ask, before we wrap up our conversation and talk about other things for the future, can I ask you to anything you were surprised about when you got involved in the church side of service? Because there's community service. You've both been involved in other kinds of things too. How about in the church? Did it tell you anything about faith and religion in church?
You mean?
Yeah, if you got something, go ahead.
Being a cantor, you know, you hear when you sing, you pray twice.
Yes.
So it's I can't even put into words the fulfillment, satisfaction, the blessing that one gets when they lead music for everyone at a liturgy.
Okay. So we sing, you pray twice. We got great slogans today. Aaron, how about you? How about the church impact for you?
I don't know if this is exactly what you're going for, but here's the one thing I'll say I learned when I decided to throw my name in the hat for the school board originally, before Father Jeff asked me to be the chairperson. There was something in the bulletin, and fill out this form and send it in. And I got a call a month later, and I started that service. And then when I was on the board and we were putting out the call a year later, I didn't realize how few people actually will put their hand up. And so I think one of the things I learned, and then over the course of those years, I think I did 3 or 4 years on the school board, and you know, being part of the greater church community, seeing the other ministries, connecting with other church leaders, I think there's a great opportunity for more people who are part of one of these communities to serve. I think I was expecting 100 people will say they want to be on a school board, and so my odds of actually being asked are slim. But I think there is a great opportunity, and so I think my takeaway is our parishes are filled with amazing people who I don't always know if they understand how much value they can bring to these opportunities, and how easy it is to say yes. And I know it's easy to say I'm busy and I got work and I got kids and my kid's got a soccer game, and but if you can find an hour a week, 2 hours a week, or less. A lot of these are less than that. Like I just think there is a great opportunity for more people to put their hand up and jump in, and the more voices, the better in any committee, any service opportunity you're going to find.
Very good. Listen, I want to thank both of you. There's people who also tell us that they're impacted and by what you do, and you don't even know it. Sometimes it begins with your own children who they know you're busy, they're busy, but they notice, their parent is doing something beyond just what they want to do with their free time, and they learn that. They observe it. Others do too. We call that in church work. We call that witness. And I want to thank you for being witnesses and for taking the time to share your experiences with us in this podcast. I'm sure that your stories and your encouragement motivates our listeners as well, because it is, as we serve, we motivate others to serve, and so the mission continues and is enhanced. So thanks for what you do for the church, what you do for our community, and you do for a church. You make us proud, and we really are grateful. I want to thank our viewers and our listeners for joining us for this month's episode of What's New in ArchLou. Please tune in next month for a brand new show.